What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Supermoto two-stroke build part 2. In this video, I installed the lighting required to get this bike to pass inspection in my state. So I ordered the Sicass Racing lighting kit, which included the front turn signals, rear turn signals, horn, license plate light, what else? The switch for high-low beams and off for the headlight, and the brake switches for the front and rear. So this video is kind of going to be an overview of the process for installing that kit. I'm not going to show like turning every nut and bolt, but just a high-level overview of what's involved in installing the kit. And yeah, everything went super smoothly. Really happy with how it turned out. And I'll do a little walk around before I show the process. All right, so quick walk around, show what was changed, what was added. Start with the back. I decided to go with the flush mount clear turn signals that they offer. I used a couple of brackets to mount these so that I wouldn't have to drill into the plastics at all. It also adds a light for the rear license plate, which you need in a lot of states. And then coming around up to the front, I went for the stalk type front clear turn signals. All these turn signals are LED, by the way. And these just mount to the factory locations, like on the EXC bikes. So that's really straightforward. Over here, you can see the horn mounts right in front of the right side radiator. So this kit also adds the hand control switch. So you've got your horn, turn signals here, and then low beams, high beams are off for the headlight. And that's about it. All you really have to do is add a banjo bolt brake switch for the front, and also one that you can barely see in there in the rear. That's honestly the hardest part of the whole kit. The rest of it is so straightforward. Just pull off the plastics, as you'll see, route the wiring, and it's super straightforward. So all the plastics are off, as you can see here. And now I just got to get the tank off, the headlight, and we should be ready to start routing the lightning wiring harness. So I have everything off the bike, including the tank, the headlights disconnected, and I just got to say, I cannot believe how easy it is to take this bike apart. It's just absolutely insane. But now I've got all the accessories disconnected from the Sicass harness, as you can see. So this end is where turn signals and such plug in. This is going to stay up here, and this end is going to be routed to where the tail light wire is. So you can see the wiring harness here. I'm just going to follow this all the way around, and I want these tail light bullet connectors to be right about here. This is the wire right here that the tail light connects to. So it'll come through from the other side, follow, 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 and end up down there. So it's really straightforward so far. I'm gonna do that and then start mounting stuff. Here's the harness wire. Got it coming through the other side. Still following, it comes up. Stuck it under this tab to hold it down. And I got a little bit of extra length, as you can see, and it's popping out right here. So next up, I have to disconnect the connection from the factory harness to the headlight. And this red T will go in its place. So this female will connect with this male to, or I'm sorry, I have it backwards. It'll basically go like this. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. So there it is. And then next up, I believe, is mounting the handlebar switch, which connects to these two connectors on the Sicass harness. So I'm gonna pull the grip off. This is a 5 Newton meters, just a little Torx here. I believe this is just a lock-on grip, so it should come right off.
And I'm gonna stick this switch in between this and here, so I might need to, I don't know exactly how I'm gonna route it, but we'll see. So I moved the kill switch down about 1/4 of an inch, but obviously there's nowhere near enough room. I was thinking of moving the kill switch on the other side of the clutch master, but I don't know if I want it that far away. It's probably not a good idea to have the kill switch so far away, so I think I'm just gonna move the master cylinder down about 1 inch, and I can always adjust the lever to be a little bit closer if it feels like a stretch, and it really won't feel that different. So actually, now that I think about it, it would also move the guard with it. Okay, never mind, back to my original plan. I'm gonna move this on this side and put the switch where this is, and hopefully the grip will fit with just that. Plenty of room. And now I'm just gonna mount the switch in place loosely and see if there's enough room for the grip, or if I need to move this whole thing down a little bit. If I do, moving this whole thing down a little bit would be a lot less than if I would have moved this over like 1 inch and kept this on the other side. So I don't really think this is gonna be too bad, but we'll see what happens. Oh, that's a perfect fit. And actually there's plenty of room to spare. So I'm gonna take this off. There's a couple rubber strips I have to put on this side to keep it, add some friction between this and the bars so it doesn't slip. So I'm gonna do that and then tighten this down. Got a little bit of excess wire here, but I'm going to be snipping this zip tie later on and routing this and this behind the headlight, but I'm not gonna worry about that till later, until everything's in its place. So I'm just gonna tighten this all up and then move on to installing the turn signals. All right, we're all mounted up, sitting pretty. I believe the next part is going to be installing the turn signals, which actually, I got the stock type, so they should mount in these factory holes here. We'll see how that lines up. These 3 and 6 pin connectors plug into the Sicass harness. And yeah, now onto the turn signals for real. Okay, so upon reading the constructions, I actually do this later, once the headlight is back where it belongs. So, moving on to installing the rear turn signals. I will show you the brackets I made for mounting the taillights I got, because it is not doable on the 2020 plastics. In 2019 and before, I guess this section here was thicker, so you could just drill a hole and, you know, be on your merry way, but there's pretty much no room. So I made some brackets, which will use these 2 existing bolts, and they just wrap around and let me use the flush mount turn signals. I'm gonna get the rear under fender off before I give up for the day. So should be pretty simple. We've got a 4-pin connector here that goes to the taillight. This will come undone. And then I think I just gotta do these 2 and these 2. And this whole under fender should just drop right out. And then we'll be mounting the license plate light, and then I'll show you the brackets for turn signals. I will say this thing looks absolutely sick without the under fender. if I ever decide to switch to the dark side and run plateless, I'm just gonna rock it like this because this looks so fresh and simplistic. But yeah, so there's a couple things we have to do here, but this will all be pretty straightforward and we'll get moving along. I'm gonna call it a night and come back to this tomorrow. So we're actually moving along quite nicely. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Turn signals. Turn signals will be very easy. Blah, blah, blah. Move on. Then we're gonna get to the brake light switches. This is actually the part I'm dreading because I've never bleeded brakes before and I don't wanna have to do it. Apparently if you do it correctly, you won't have to, but we'll see. So there's that, and then the horn, and that's it. Now, the one thing that's not in these instructions is I actually have the front brake switch as well. Or I'm sorry, it comes with the front, but I have the rear, or vice versa. I might be mixing it up in my head, but I have brake switches for the front and rear. So once I do it one time, I'm sure I'll be all right doing it the second time. But overall, this thing's been super easy to work on. Everything's super straightforward. It's always kind of nerve-wracking digging into a new bike. Especially when it's literally new, but everything came apart really easily, really quickly. I haven't had any issues other than my tools breaking. So moving along nicely. I'm hoping to have this mostly wrapped up tomorrow, if not completely finished. And then it's just a waiting game for the wheels. All right, guys, it's the next day, done work. So time to continue where we left off. So I'll be adding a strip of electrical tape that's 3/4 inch wide to this side of the top of the taillight. All right, so I'm kind of a little bit in a tough spot. I already had this plate mounted by the dealership I bought the bike from. And this is kind of sitting a lot more, I guess you would say, forward this way than it should be. So kind of not sitting perfectly, but it's still getting sandwiched by the taillight. So, I mean, I think I'm just gonna roll with it for now. If it gives me issues, I can always replace the double-sided tape and try again, but it'll be fine. All right, so for my brackets for the turn signals, I need somewhere to put the wires. I'm thinking that I'll drill a hole somewhere around here, and then both the wires from each side will route in. So I'm gonna pull this back off and kind of figure out where the best place for that is. This will mount about like this, and I'm thinking, you know, I could do one on each side here and have the shortest distance for the wire, but it'd actually be pretty hard to drill that, at least very close, and also it might make getting this build out difficult. So I'm actually thinking of drilling a hole here, which would have it pop out. Both those wires would pop out right next to these, and I think that would be the best bet. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this so I don't damage it while drilling, and I'm gonna put just a oh, I don't even know, maybe like a 5/16 hole. Actually, I might do 1/4 inch, see if I can squeeze them both through. If not, I can open it up to 5/16. So that's what I'm gonna do. Got the turn signals both routed through this hole I drilled. I got them hooked up to the Sicass harness, which is running alongside the license plate light and the tail light. It's all connected up here. So now I'm going to bolt this up, then I can attach these and move on to installing the rear brake switch. Okay, so I've got these wires routed. So the ones coming from the tail light, which are the license plate light and the rear brake light, they go back here behind the battery, actually underneath it, and then come up right here. Then I pulled the factory harness connection for the rear brake light, which used to be down here. I pulled it up, put it in front of the fuse box, and you can see it's poking down right here. So now I'll be connecting the rear brake switch harness, which I'm actually really dreading, because if I mess up, then I have to re-bleed it, which I actually don't know how to do. But it can't be too bad. So I'm just gonna follow the instructions and hopefully everything goes smoothly. I've got the master cylinder loosened. What you're supposed to do is, using a box end wrench on the top, take this bolt out, hold the brake line in place, slide in the switch comes with its own cush washer, or crush washer, whatever. So get rid of that one on the top. Then you finger tighten it. Once it's finger tight, depress the brake so that brake fluid seeps out. And while you have that depressed, you have to tighten the brake switch all the way. And if you don't and you let off on the brake, then you will get air into the system and you'll have to re-bleed. So as long as I tighten it all the way, I shouldn't have to re-bleed the brakes. Everything should be fine. So I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna film doing it. I'll probably film the front because I'm gonna have an extra set of hands for the front, hopefully. But hopefully everything goes all right back here. If not, you know, I guess I'll learn how to bleed brakes. Can't be that hard. Okay, so that wasn't so bad. I think I did it right. I don't think I let any air in. It wasn't that big of a deal. So now moving on to connecting other things. But I don't own any zip ties. And also I'm gonna try to return these Torx bits that I annihilated on the first or second use. Or at least see if I can exchange them. So, BRB. All right, we're back. Had to get the shopsicles. You already know. Let's start zip tying. I did this out of order, but it doesn't actually matter. Gotta drill a 5/16 hole right here in the airbox, and that is what this will pass through. This connector will poke out of this hole and connect to this. And then should be able to start zip tying all this stuff together. Drilled this 5/16 hole and connected the little T harness for the brake switch, so that goes in between the tail light and the factory harness. And then it connects to the license plate light, and then this wire comes out and connects to the brake switch, which you can see I've routed down this way, and it's not really too close to the exhaust. This rubber connector is in between this and the exhaust, so hopefully there's no problems there. But we're moving along nicely. I think next up is the horn, and then that might actually be it. All right, so this horn wire just wraps around the radiator, comes down through the louvers. I don't even know how to pronounce that, honestly, but that's basically it. All right, everything's back together. There's still a bunch of things I need to do, like torque the subframe and some like cable management. Obviously I messed this up, but I have to see if it works, so I'm gonna wheel it out, go test it real quick. I'm so nervous, but here goes the moment of truth. So far so good. Let's test the headlight switch off, regular high beams. All right, perfect. Horn test. Ah, shit, it's loud. Turn signals, left. All right, left looks good. Let's try right. Right also looks good. And let's try the brake switch. So I'm gonna see if I can reach it. like a success to me. So everything works. The only thing left is I have to do the front brake switch because I need that in PA. But other than that, it's good to go. Everything's working and couldn't be happier. It's the next day, it's absolutely pouring. Went and kind of fixed up some things that I rushed. I got the cables mounted really nicely for all the hand controls. Used this existing clip for the big fat one. I mounted the flasher relay to this on this side and tightened up the turn signals, so this will go back on. The only thing left is I want to torque these down to spec, the subframe bolts, and then I need to trim my brackets a little bit for the rear turn signals. But other than that, it's basically good to go. Keith's gonna be coming over and helping me with the front brake switch, so.
2020 is the short film, not the movie.
All right, the lights are done. We're gonna go for a test ride. Keith's on the Honda. I got the KTM, let's do it. All right, so we just got back. Major success, all the lights work on this. I'm not gonna show you the new brake light because
Pretty base.
yeah, pretty basic.
This thing ripped.
Give us a lowdown on this bike. Do a review of the Honda.
Quick review, out of 10. 6.3.
6.3, not bad for a bike that's
And
50 years
That
old.
means, to rank this, here we're at about a 9.3. That's about as peak as you can get. And once in the Supermoto trim, of course. Okay. 6.3, you know what, Rips? It could be a little bit more dialed. Like, it's together and running. I mean, it doesn't have air filter.
The carbs are not tuned, but.
I mean, there's not even an air filter on it, so I mean,
True. We're simply lucky it didn't get waterlogged because it's still quite moist outside. But, you know, here, hold this. I think this light kit has earned Sicass Racing a spot in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, Hall of Fame, the dude literally has an all balls racing on there. Possibly the most cringe company ever created.
Are you kidding me?
All balls.
They hooked me up. They have all the old bearings.
All balls racing, shout out. The U.S. General.
Really gotta hook up. Yo, shout out
Birds
to my
are-
girlfriend for copying me that.
Shout out to the birds.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure she's watching this far through.
Oh, of course she is. She's dedicated. She's committed.
Dedicated to the grind. Dude, I'll cover that
And if
whole
she's not, I'll know because she'll bring this up if she sees it.
I'll cover this whole thing in Zoomy stickers.
No. All right, that's it. That has been the Sicass Racing light install video. Hope you enjoy. And
We'll catch you next time when Kevin's doing scrapes down in New Jersey.
yeah, next up we got the Sumo wheels on their way. So make a video on that. Then things get really out
You
of
do
hand.
top speed runs on the back roads. We'll see.
To all federal agents watching this, that's not the plan.
It's not the plan, only for federal agents.
All right, peace.